Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good to go, huh?
Okay. I just.
Casey, can you hear us?
Now I can.
Wonderful, okay. Yeah, we had a little delay, so.
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order at 6:10.
I'll give you a call out.
And we'll do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So do we have an acceptance of the agenda?
I would move it.
Second,
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay. So we have a second. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Correspondence, I have none. Bonnie did not send any over to me, so.
You gotta do your minutes.
Pardon me?
Your minutes?
Thank you. I'm jumping too fast. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 19th, please?
Moved.
second,
Okay.
And we have a second set of minutes also.
Fran said it and so did Casey. So we get a double.
Yes, we have two sets of minutes, right?
Yes, we do. So, any discussion, changes? None? Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. For the May 31st minutes, may I have a motion?
Moved.
Okay. And any discussion about the minutes? I know they were very long. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? None. Okay. No correspondence? Reports, Madam Tax Collector.
Okay, I sent you a report just with where we are at the end of this year as of today. Our collection rate is 99.1%. We are over $66,765 in the current year tax collections. Interest to date, we have a $40,000 budget. We are over $31,403 in interest. And our back tax collection is $77,637 to date. So that's money to put back in the, whatever fund you decide on. And then the second part of my report is I did hear from Attorney Cohen today, and I've signed the paperwork. The tax sale will be here Thursday, September 7th.
And what is the property?
You have to go to to Attorney Cohen, and he will give you all of them. I am out of it at this point. I can only tell you to show up and buy the property.
So it's one piece of property?
It's a house and a piece of property,
Okay.
and it's, and I don't give any good, bad, or indifferent
Yep, that's
comments
true.
about it.
Yep.
But please, if you were around September 7th, please come. They are very interesting. Adam does a super job. He explains everything in great detail. He has a large following, so there will be bidders.
Is there any, just, I guess my only question about it, you know, it's been, and the market being relatively good still, it's probably not an issue. But are there times when we have a property that goes up for sale that it might be in the town's interest to keep it or buy it?
The one tax sale I've ever done on my own is the property the town does own up on Dugan Road. We had to keep that one. Fun thing, nobody wanted to buy it.
Casey?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions if I could.
Sure.
One so is there notice about this to get in touch with Attorney Cohn on the town website or something like that, that there'll be a
Yeah.
tax sale on?
Definitely. The reason the sale is September 7th is because the process has just begun. And it is guided by statute and he follows it to the letter of the law. So yes, I will make sure that when the information is out there, it's posted someplace. It'll be posted on the tax collector's page. I can do that. I just can't say anything on my own about it.
And I understand that. And secondly, assume the proceeds are greater than the default in the tax amount. What happens to that excess money?
There is a 6 months waiting period in which time the original owner can redeem the property at 1.5% interest per month. Any excess money that is left goes back to the owner. So
But they have to claim it in 6 months?
after the 6 months, yes,
After 6 months?
yes.
So in the 6 months, you're saying they can come back and buy back their property?
At 1.5% of interest per month, they can buy it back. And the original bidder knows that. That's part of the agreement.
So it's based, they can buy it back for the tax amount. It's not related to what the auction price is.
Oh, no, he buys it back for the auction price.
The auction price plus interest. And if the owner doesn't show up to buy it back in the 6 months, then whoever wins the auction buys it, and the excess money above what's owed to the town goes to the owner.
Yes, and in that 6 months, we hold the deed. It's not filed. And then after the 6 months, then it is filed and becomes.
So both very fair and transparent.
Oh, believe me, it is extremely fair and extremely transparent. Yes.
And does the process and the information that Attorney Cohn has, does that say how much money is owed to the town?
No, that is not something that, what is owed and what Attorney Cohen spends and takes in as whatever his share is, are not known in general to the town. That's not public information.
Right.
And just hypothetically, if something were to be sold for less than what the town is owed and what is owed to Attorney Cohn, that's the end of the game.
No, we have the right to call it at that point. If there aren't sufficient bidders that come in, say it's $100,000, I'm picking that number out of the hat. Say it's $100,000 and our highest bid is 90. We stop, we talk, we decide if we're going to take the 90 or wait and keep the property or wait and do the sale again.
And the we in that context is you and Attorney Cohn on September 7th?
And with the first selectman.
I got it.
Does that answer all your questions, Casey?
It's a great education.
For all of us.
It's a very interesting process. That's why I hope you come and learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Because unfortunately, it's something that's going to keep reoccurring.
Right.
It's in the evening of the 7th or
No, 10 o'clock in the morning
10 o'clock in the morning?
here.
It's on my calendar.
That's my report. Thank you.
Thank
Can I ask a different question of the tax collector? What's the status of the current tax bills?
The bills are online. Anyone can see them online. You cannot pay them online until July 1st. They are going to be mailed Friday, the 23rd.
And is that consistent with other years?
I do not collect before July 1st.
No, but did the notices go out earlier in other years?
I don't think so. It's like they are online, so you can view them.
Great, thank you.
Anything else, Deb?
I'll get to when I
Yeah, okay.
get to the agenda.
Okay. Scott, anything?
Not tonight.
Okay, all right.
No, yes.
Jean, how about you?
Just really quick, Streetscape Phase 2 update. We're gonna be having a public information center, meeting, in, July, probably mid-July, where the design engineer will come and will be a hybrid likely, to basically talk about the basic design and hear from the residents, any feedback that they have. And as we've discussed, both sides of South Main Street to the greenhouse and the affordable housing, Maple Street, both sides to the first cut of the firehouse, and then all the way to the affordable housing on Maple Street Extension, and the left side of Lane Street is Phase 2. Cemetery Association, so the Cemetery Association contacted me in the last probably 45 days about their sort of challenged by, they've been around for 100 years this next month, and they're finding themselves in a tough place as far as succession and continuing on the work of the Cemetery Association. The sexton is moving out of state. He's sold his house and they're moving far enough away that he can't continue being the sexton. So the short-term challenge right now is to get somebody who can do those sexton duties in the next probably 3-ish months. But long-term, they are looking to hand over the three cemeteries.
It's more than that, but I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
They're
I'm having-
numbered little ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's 6. I was talking to Warren in Washington about there, so forgive me. I believe it's 6 cemeteries over to the town for us to run and manage. So I'm meeting with the president of their board of directors. We had one meeting with them, myself and Darlene, because obviously there's a lot of records that need to be managed and there's gonna have to be transition.
And technically, does the town own the cemeteries?
Yes,
And we always have?
I believe so,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Well, I think some of them started on private property and then expanded.
Gotcha.
And so we just have to walk through all the pieces and parts to do a transition. It's, we've done the Veterans Memorial was a transition, the Memorial Day Parade, but this is sort of a much.
And are those cemeteries continually, do they continue to be used?
Yep.
And have we looked at how to, might there be a way to privatize it or something so that, excuse me?
I think it's statute.
You're contracted out, you're talking about contract out,
Yeah.
taking care of it?
Well, I mean, that right now
This is
it's
just
privatized. The town owns the property, but the association, which is a non-for-profit, I assume, yeah, it's a special cemetery, sort of non-for-profit. They run the day-to-day operations and the planning and the maintenance. So we have to.
Only reason frankly, I'm on a board in New York, but one of the things I am for years was a director of a cemetery, believe it or not, in St. James, Missouri, of all places, right? But it was in a bequest to the New York Community Trust, and we finally found a way to get out of it, and turn it over to a company that, literally get rid of it, but in perpetuity. So that's why I was just wondering if there were any options like that.
So when Jason said continue to be used, does that mean that there are available plots?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know of the 6. It may be that some are full, some are not. We didn't even get into that depth of
Right.
discussion. It was just an initial meeting for them to sort of communicate this desire to.
It's been coming for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And in other communities, the town does take care of the cemeteries.
Yes.
Not here, so.
yeah, there's like 20 different ways that it is getting done in 20 different towns. So doing some more research, but this short-term piece, we need to sort of help them get solved, which I've spoken with Warren in Washington, and we should be able to have some sort of shared, whether it's an agreement or we don't even need an agreement. That's how we're sort of gonna move forward for the short term, just because they have some burials coming up, so they need that assistance directly. But longer term, we have to figure out a plan and take it to the townspeople. So that's upcoming.
Budget exposure, yeah.
Yeah. We just implemented a new phone system today. Everybody can still call those same phone numbers that they've been calling. We have a phone tree, so if you call 4627, you'll get a phone tree that will give you options to get connected to the different departments. There are a lot of modern features on this. We can, if we needed to decentralize government again, like we did during the pandemic, we could do that very easily. There are features like your voicemail can get converted into text and get sent to your email. So a lot of functionality that our old system wasn't able to provide. It's also VoIP, so that if we have a power outage, but we still have internet, then we still have phones, and we're working on a backup for internet so that if our in-house internet went down, we could go to a cell-based internet so that we would have that continued, be able to continue working, be able to continue answering the phone, sort of thing. The last thing is the Sustainable Materials Management Grant update. So we have that $55,000 grant that we applied for, and after a year plus, it was awarded to us by DEEP. We had a Board of Selectmen meeting last Friday, where we adjusted the annual permit fee down, and we're working very closely with HRRA on making sure that the town doesn't have, again, a financial exposure by lowering those fees, because our hope is that this pilot program will be successful and will be saving a lot of money in our handling and the tip fees and the fees that we pay by tonnage for the municipal solid waste that really needs to come out of the waste stream. So
And what's the community reaction, reception, willingness, any indication yet?
It's been, I would say it's been mixed. I think, so we had a trash talk a month-ish ago, and there was a lot of concern about the things like the bag. So this Save As You Throw program, which is becoming wider used pilot all across the country, because it is the way to get the right garbage in the right place. It's a change because you would now be using the bags that we give you versus you can use any size bag. No, for garbage, for municipal solid waste. But what's happening right now is,
And so we're doing this all together, so we're not just doing a composting effort.
correct, so they go hand in hand. Composting and Save As You Throw go hand in hand, because when you take the materials, the organic materials out of your garbage, and you put them into composting, that means you have less in your garbage can.
Right.
And 90% of the waste that we're putting in our garbage cans doesn't belong somewhere else, not in our garbage cans.
So what is the plan to educate the citizens?
So we had an initial trash talk that was in person and online, because we didn't have a lot of people in person, so we went totally on Zoom. We had the second one.
And how many people were
2
on the
weeks
Zoom
ago.
call?
Oh, gosh, I can't remember.
Because I didn't, frankly, and I missed it, and I'm reasonably engaged.
I didn't have time to look
You got
at
it,
it
right?
during the workday.
That's
so
right.
Are you going
What
to?
was it, 7?
That's my workday.
Right.
So do you have, are you gonna do mailing or something?
So we're gonna have, this weekend is gonna be the first weekend where there's gonna be 3 people down at the transfer station on Saturday. I think they're gonna be there Sunday as well, but they're gonna be doing a lot of public education, talking
Because I think
about
that's your better bet, is to have a table frankly, at the transfer station to
Right, well, it's like this sort of omni-channel approach because we get some people on the trash talks, we get some people, and the trash talks are recorded, so we're getting those on the website. HRRA creates a dedicated, basically sub-site for each of the grantees, so there's 4 grantees in this round. So
Is that
Kent will
where-
have its own
So
website.
if I'm doing the dishes and I'm going through stuff, what is an easy access thing to say, can I put that in the compost or not?
Yep, so that's gonna be the webpage, and
So I have to boot up the computer and find it on the web.
we'll give you, when you come to the transfer station, you'll also get those WeWo brochure, it's not a brochure.
So they're gonna
it's a
get- that's the
one-pager
answer. So you're gonna-
that- Yeah, there's collateral materials that.
That's why I'm asking.
And there's
Right.
always collateral materials
That's what I'm
available
asking.
at the transfer station. So it's gonna be, it's social media, it's the trash talks, it's
And
the
what's your-
in-person touch.
What's your launch
Face
date?
to face. We're hoping to take this live on July 1st.
July 1st, okay, so good.
So, and it's gonna be a process.
It will be a process.
For
Right,
people
but
to
there are people
figure
who are
out.
anxious to do it.
Yes, yes, for sure.
But if it's something where there's a table and there's somebody who's got the brochures and can walk people with questions on it at the dump, then we know that everybody who uses it at least will have a point of contact.
Yes.
It might encourage people to use it, they might not. use it correctly.
That's right.
Yeah,
you know?
and honestly, we did talk about that. We spent, Rick, Jennifer Heaton Jones and I spent a long time talking about, do we have people opt in? Or do we just give bags to every single person who buys a transfer station permit? And at the end of the day, we decided, instead of sort of creating this sort of compartmentalized, you know, the in and the not in, you know, the doers and the not doers, whatever you want to call them. We decided it was better for the community to just embrace and invite everybody to take the challenge. And you get your 104 bags, and if you are not a believer and you absolutely don't want to use the 104 bags and you're going to bring whatever trash you want, then okay. But
just
it's
to be
taking
clear,
a
the only-
positivity route to this challenge and to really see. I mean, when we started composting, we had both kids at home. It was shocking how much less garbage that we
No,
were
I'm just
putting.
saying, because I do think this is ultimately, if we're gonna try to save some money here, it's gotta be somehow we communicate to enough folks in the town. And even what you just explained was a little more complicated than what I thought it was. Simply, there's gonna be a new bin or something for compostables, right, you know? And the other stuff, I assumed was exactly the same. And if it's not, we're actually gonna be asking the townspeople to do more than I think they think we are, which is gonna complicate this, which is gonna drive down the numbers. So you have to think through.
So, but another thought though, too, a selling point is that if you have a transfer tag, then you can come get compost, right?
Yes,
Uh,
in the
So-
spring when the compost is
Yeah, so
ready.
that's, you know, that's,
Yeah, there's
that's a
definitely
positive,
incentive.
that's something to
Oh, yeah,
sell.
exactly.
Sell that.
Yeah, there's a few incentives. I think obviously the decrease in the permit fee is gonna be an incentive. We also,
And the permit fee goes down for folks who join the program.
anybody who purchases a permit.
So
is-
July 1, the fee's going down.
Right, like
Whether you
Last year I
compost or
paid-
not.
last year I paid $150.
Right.
This year I'm gonna pay that decreased fee instead of the $150. I think it was 120. We were crunching numbers a lot. But what we also did was, because we had a lot of feedback from people, just anecdotally, that said, I'm a curbside garbage person, but I really want to compost. I don't want to compost at home because I'm worried about whatever, or I can't, or whatever. So what we did was we actually added a third permit type, which is an organics only. So for $20, if you have curbside, you pay your curbside hauler. So you're still taking those organic materials out of the stuff you pay the curbside hauler for only $20 for the year, and you get a little countertop thing that you can put your composting in. You can bring in whatever Jen Heaton Jones was saying. She's got people in Bridgewater who bring their old spaghetti pots and they just put it all in there and put the lid on, and on once a week they bring that and they dump it into the thing. But what that's also gonna do for the people who are curbside is it's gonna enable them to save money, because they're gonna see the decrease in how much they're putting out on their curb, and they likely will be calling your curbside haulers after not too long and say, I don't want a weekly pickup, and I'm not gonna pay for a weekly pickup. I only need a pickup every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, because I'm now paying my $20 fee to take it down to the transfer station. So,
So you have a lot to communicate, but there's benefit if we can actually get people to buy it.
And again, the transfer station will only be open on weekends,
correct.
even the composting, correct. Is there any chance that might expand at some point?
It would again be a budgetary
Okay.
expense, and Rick has, I know he's toyed with it and really thought about it, because that's probably, talks of the feedback that we get back, but it does, there are challenges, because from a safety standpoint, if they're gonna be open, they really should have 2 people there, because it's so out of the way, and you never see if,
Yeah.
if you've got a day where, let's say it was a Thursday, they decided to open for that 3rd day, and for the first couple of months, you're only gonna have a couple people, because they're not gonna, people aren't gonna know. And if something, if there was one worker and he tripped and fell, and it's 4 hours before the next
Yeah.
person comes, it would be a safety issue, so,
Something for the list.
so there's,
So it could be a future item.
yes, and who knows, maybe, we're really hoping that this whole pilot, which is a year long, will really bring some more face time to the transfer station and all the great things about the transfer station. And, hopefully it will increase the permit holders, and then, that would be able to pay for itself, having, being open an extra day.
And the data you collected for the months was very
A
interesting.
lot, we're required to collect a lot of data for.
Okay.
And we're waiting for, so we have to have a signed contract from Deep, which has to not only, so Deep creates the contract, we reviewed it with HRRA, it goes back to Deep, they have to have multiple units within Deep, prove it, and then it has to go to the AG's office, because every contract, state agency contract has to be.
Does it have to be in place before it can start?
It has to be in place before we can spend a penny of the grant.
Okay,
So
so you
that's-
could start the program,
Yeah.
but again, but I think July 1st is a great time to start. Yeah. Okay,
Those
great.
are sort of the high points. Oh, and Warren, Washington, and Kent have, we've been spending a lot of time collaborating and sort of trying to help each other out, because we're all so close to each other. And it basically started with the Lake Warramog Association and the stuff that we have to do together with the lake. And so we had been talking about some training, and we've, Greg LaCava from Warren contacted the state police, and we're gonna be doing a joint active shooter training in person at Warren Town Hall on
Good.
July 5th.
Good. Then who's going to participate in that?
The tax collector's office will be open July 5th. Please, do not get out there that we're closed. We are open July 5th for taxes.
So,
And the assessor.
and Josie will be there. The email that I sent out to everybody was that we were gonna close town hall to encourage people and give them the opportunity to go up and participate. And we're gonna have a joint lunch with the other 2 towns.
So.
And the other
maybe
2 towns are doing the same thing, they're closing their town.
Maybe put a sandwich sign out saying, we are saying that tax collector's office is open and ready to receive your.
Most definitely. I could not be here.
Okay.
And I think that's probably true in Washington too. I don't know, can't say that.
All right. Okay. So it's a tabletop exercise,
It's an initial training because
Okay.
they,
not to that
we
stage
haven't,
yet.
yeah, we haven't
Yeah.
had enough training to do it.
Okay. So Barbara, zip. That's excellent. Okay, Deb, on to the suspense list.
Okay, the suspense list, I have added, for those of you who don't know, I guess I should explain that the suspense list is just for properties that won't count toward our collectible numbers. They are still collectible, but they just, cars and things are hard to collect, so I have just taken the whole list this year and put the whole thing on suspense. First of all, it costs about 70 cents to send a bill, and so it was getting a little silly when you send them 12 times a year. So that's part of it. So the bottom line is 13,167.20.
Okay.
That's the long and the short of it.
And it's all cars.
No, no, you didn't get a copy, I'm sorry.
That's what I don't need a copy.
No, it's personal property and cars, and there is one piece of real estate I put on. The taxes are $7 a year, and I just suspended it.
Right.
Just, it's easier that way.
Personal property and motor vehicle and properties near the
One real
end.
estate.
Right. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay. So a motion to approve the suspenses.
I would move to approve the suspense.
Thank you, Casey. Fran? Thanks, Casey. Fran? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And we have no old business that I'm aware of. So would any of the public like to speak? Okay, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. And we are adjourned.
Very good, thank you.
A little bit later than I thought it was going to be.
A few moving pieces. so,
Yeah. That was interesting.